if you haven't seen the last episode, we unified the Storm Kingdom, we fought some hyenas, stuff was good. Now, obviously, we'll be focusing on presumably rebuilding the Storm Kingdom. Like, roughly everything within the blue. So, you know... I think... Wait, hold on, let me zoom in. Would that be... Most of Zebrica. Turns out, even all the way... Both continents, yeah, Equestria, ironically, isn't one of the places that we conquered. But we did get Karkadanistan. So, we're probably going to be focusing on Ugabi for starters. But I will be seeing what we have today in terms of research technology. Wait, what? We have a slave-based economy? Wait, what? Colford, mandate, yada yada yada. Ooh, commitment to horizontal cohesion. Horizontally cohesive command is one that is well communicated and highly proactive. Ooh, reinforced industrial tools. You know what they say about big tools, don't you? I'm gonna look like a total idiot because I don't get the joke. Big tools, big hands. This is a penis joke. If this is a penis joke, please laugh at me. Not getting the penis joke. Oh! Though they may still dream quietly of freedom, the hyenas are now seemingly content with our rule. Their religion is permitted, their customs are allowed to persist, and their territories are to be administered as core parts of the kingdom. Ah! We can core the states. We can integrate them as proper core states if they reach a certain point. Fawzia was finally going to do it. She was going down to that new factory and get a job, no matter what her father said. Indeed, she was going to do it specifically to spite that old broken record. He suspected that intent, of course, so by the time she approached the door dressed in her most replaceable set of clothes, she was ready for an argument. It was always the same with Tahil. With Tahil? Is that two I's with an L or a... whatever? No, no, no. I forbid you from working there, and you know why. I didn't lose my eye and the feeling in my claws just for you to go and start working alongside the creatures that took them. You will not associate with scum, nor should anyone else. The old hyena gestured vaguely at the patch over his eye and tapped one of his hind legs frustratedly against the aging floorboards of the house. Frankly, Fawzia had heard quite enough of this already. It was one thing to have been hurt, it was another to go out of your way to avoid being helped, even if that came in a less than ideal form. The far younger hyena grunted in displeasure and went to open the door. So what? We're going to live here, waiting until either you or the floorboards give out? These yetis are just normal creatures like me. They have armed guards, sure, but only because they know that bitter old people like you live around here. I'm tired of eating less than 2 meals a day, and I'm tired of living in squalor just because you're keeping both me and yourself out of the only place around here that's offering jobs. Talil grabbed her wrist in his closest paw with a desperate look in his eyes. Don't make my sacrifice for nothing. She snarled and went forcefully for the door anyways. They were for nothing when you lost the war, Dad. The least you could do is let me try to dig us out of the hole you buried us both in. If a conqueror pays well, they're not so bad. Bravo, bravo. Oh no. Because I'm a moron, I have no idea what to do. Current observers, so we don't want a revolt, so it's cautious, so it's yellow. And as I remember, yellow is mellow, because it's piss. And piss is stored in the balls, and the balls are the hairy things under your knob. If I've got that right. Which should mean, using my powers of deduction, that yellow is better than orange, which is better than red, but yellow is worse than lime, which is worse than green. So it's all on a sliding scale from green to red. Green, red. Green, red. Green, red. Like one of those eye tests they have. It's a green-red. It's like the eye test. It's like the green of the arrow here and the red of the stop button. The red of the Ancient Pact versus the green of the United Ponies, or the green of the River Coalition. It's all symbolic. It's all symbols. I should write a book about this. I think people would like it. The Swahili will give them some help. This will please the zebras, so they won't have a shit fit. Oh my goodness, we really need to beef up the number of divisions that we have on the front here. What are you doing? You just against the Mozzie tribe? It's a bit silly, isn't it? Whoa. Oh, more in the River Coalition. I will just stop recording now. Now that we've been thinking... Okay, no, it's too loud. It's too loud. No, too loud. Too loud. Pause. Right, so now that I've been thinking, Ugabi is going to be taken over by Zarhe, so that's going to make our front line easier to manage, you see. So I'm just going to cancel both of these front lines. I'm going to cancel them all, and then, once Ugabi is conquered, I'll redraw the front line. Give the eye new... Ooh! The eye. The Eye of the Storm was constructed as a vanity project that served no real purpose by the time it was finished. His Majesty's authority was absolute, and the island fortress was redundant upon arrival. It is not without potential, however. The Storm Queen wishes to convert the aging fortress into a state university, one that will greatly improve the academic capacity of the kingdom. Alright, that's a good way to fend off illiteracy. That's good. Modest illiteracy. Good messenger, good message. Aside from our excellent quarterly financial report, I have some more good news, Imamu gave out with a wide smile. Although the family had done well for itself under the rule of the Storm Queen, they had become weary of her political decision-making. They were no longer her primary source of manufactured goods and industrial capacity in general, which meant that she had been far less favourable... The fucking hell, why can I not speak? I'm sorry, I'm not normally this bad. I don't know why. I don't know what is happening to me. They were no longer her primary source of manufactured goods and industrial capacity in general, which meant that she had been far less favourable towards the Uzarazi family as of late. Not outright detrimental to their activity, of course, but certainly acting with enough ambivalence to cause concern. For his part, the head of the family was more than happy to swap... I cannot for the life of me pronounce that word. I'm just going to say... console those fears. Her Majesty the Storm Queen, he said, before allowing for some eyebrow raises and groans, has graciously decided to offer a litany of grants and large swaths... Got to read it like I'm reading Gobble 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 Went Greedy Cat, or the Very Hungry Caterpillar, of funding to various local governments in the Swahili. She has stated that this is both a reward for the dutiful service of the Uzarazi family during the Civil War and a sign of her trust in... He could barely get out the last parts of the announcement before the sudden buzz amongst his attending relatives. Imamu couldn't help but chuckle at how quickly the demeanour turned completely around as he excused himself and left them to their musings. He opened a heavy wooden door into the study of his... Oh my god. No. Okay. Zizima home. Quickly. Look, the reason I'm being so weird right now is this is like, it's 8:30. It's 8:32 p.m. So it's not... Fuck. Okay, we're... In hindsight, the fortifications surrounding the centre of the Eye of the Storm had turned out to be quite a waste. The Storm King had ordered their construction as a way to ensure that his seat of power could not be easily assaulted, but none would challenge his reign by the time it was finished. Following his death, it proved to be largely ineffective at stopping the forces of his soon-to-be successor also, although it had presented a moderate logistical challenge at the time. Nevertheless, the vast majority of structures were clearly outmoded. Thus, it was that Her Majesty saw fit to repurpose the old walls and buildings for the modern era. It had taken a substantial amount of capital and an absurd level of planning in order to properly retrofit all of the structures with adequate facilities, but the project was eventually completed, and on schedule, no less. The sight of so many young and unburdened souls prompted a fleeting thought about what might have been had the young Storm Queen not pursued a military career from such a young age. In truth, there weren't a huge number of subjects which she could have truly excelled in. Unless something culinary was offered, of course. Even so, it was hard not to be jealous of the better world that she trying to build. Even so, it was hard not to be jealous of the better world that she was trying to build for her subjects on occasion. As the idea passed, Ibiz was still very much enjoying an unguided tour of the new campus with a couple of storm creatures in tow, drawing looks from every student and lecturer as she went. Her Majesty was in quite a good mood, although you wouldn't know that from the expression she was currently wearing. A not insignificant part of her simply enjoyed the knowledge that her predecessor would have hated everything about this. He didn't care about governing, or about his kind's education, just about magic, and acquiring more of it for power's sake. That was why he could not see past his own ego, and why the Storm Queen took such unnoticed joy in this particular project. He was probably turning over in his watery grave. Neat. Look at that! Progress! Sort of an aerodynamics and avionics. That's cool. To combat the regionalist epidemic, even if it does piss off the zebra subjects that we have a little bit, they're wholly cooperative currently, so that'll be down back to mellow yellow. And we'll get 6 divisions! 6 whole divisions! That's amazing! 6 massive divisions. It's gonna be great. I really should go to the doctor about this cheek problem. It's right on the other side. It's not on the side which was really swollen earlier. Now it's on the other one that's gotten a lot less severe, you know. Yes. Anyways, aside from that, war. Zahe is finally unified the Great Lakes. They have 21 divisions at most, so they might actually outnumber us. Just kidding, that's not actually going to happen. We're fine. But we should try our hardest to not be caught off guard, and we should try and act quickly so that we can subjugate them and abolish their currently existing political system. There we go. Combat the regionalists. More divvies. Now for the remaining one. Well, hold on a minute. No, I'm stupid. I don't get it. Ooh, our true focus. I feel like we should just have a balanced research budget. It's not piss off the zebras too much. A little focused violence. Is this really surprising to you? Her Majesty asked slowly with a hint of surprise. My kind have only ever united themselves by force. Even before we were truly unified by the Storm King, the only creatures that came close did so by conquest. I would not have chosen to exercise such force if I did not consider it both effective and necessary. Imamu shifted uncomfortably in his seat, just as I am doing now, as the Storm Queen explained the reasoning behind the administration's recent efforts in resistance suppression. What she said was true, and it would have been unfair to say that most Yetis didn't seem to respect her more for what was being done to the disloyal. That didn't make it any less unnerving that such violence was almost culturally ingrained, nor would it assuage, the fears of the fears of the zebras in the West. No, not really, but, well, I think you know as well as I do that this is only going to make the Swahilis more anxious. I'm against unnecessary violence, even at the best of times, and I am firmly of the position that this is not necessary. This being said, I know that I know that you're no stranger to a carrot and stick strategy. He paused for a moment, bringing a hoof to his beard. If you consider this course of action to be necessary, then I will trust you. I'm going to be on damage control for several months with my family in all likelihood, but I'll trust you. Thank you, and yes, I am aware that this will not be positive for the public trust in the West. You could say that my approval ratings in the West have fallen. I apologise in advance for the trouble this will cause you, but in the long term, I assure you that this is the best course of action. Unfortunately, my kind needs to be told what to do before they start understanding things for themselves. Imamu cocked his head slightly. You mean to say that you intend to make this the last time that Yetis treat themselves so brutally? Yes, I do, she affirmed with a slow nod and a subtle smile. I hope that my means justify my ends in this case. With time we shall see. The zebra couldn't help but wonder how long it would take as he looked up at the towering figure of Ibi's ice paw with both hope and fear. In time he'd learn to handle those two feelings together. Ooh. Don't know why I said it like that. It's not like the other weird. Ooh, this is a normal one. Right. That's nice and all, but I think we should... Oh, for fuck's sake. You know what? Because I'm in a very generous mood today, I'm going to let our soldiers see their foals. How have I done in terms of getting the railways? It had been a while since Ibi's had seen a smile like that on her friend's snout. Imamu had been beaming from ear to ear since he'd heard the news that the Storm Queen would be allocating a generalised research budget. He'd even demanded that they go out for dinner as his way of saying thank you for not listening to the loud voices of the armed forces, which had only become more boisterous as time went on. It was truly a night to celebrate, at least for him. Her Majesty... That's... I'm saying that from now on. Her Majesty was much more interested in the local cuisine, but not so much that she couldn't pause for conversation. I am surprised that you care so much about the nation's scientific progress. This is going to be the voice that I use for Ibi's ice paw from here on out. Well, actually, there are a few reasons for me to be enthused by this news, the zebra responded, taking a moment to swallow his pillow? I'm going to show an image of that on the screen because I have no idea what the hell that is. Before satiating Her Majesty's thinly veiled curiosity. For one, some of the recent agricultural projects show a good chance of restoring the profitability of many family farming estates. More importantly, though, I'm simply glad to see that the military isn't being favoured over the rest of the kingdom. I'd heard they were very much looking forward to the next budgetary cycle. Ibis nodded slowly as she too savoured a mouthful of the same local Swahili dish. Swahili, like Swahili with a Z because of zebras. That's what it is. I was an idiot and thought it was like the Sahel. You know, that bit of Africa that's just above... is it? No, it's just below. It's that bit of Africa that's in between, you know, in between sub-Saharan Africa and the Sahara. It's that bit. I'm showing it on the map now. Yeah, that one. But it's Swahili. It's Swahili. It's the language. Yeah. Taking in the flavours and the spices in particular for a moment. The military certainly had been getting loud, but they did not cloud her judgment. A balanced approach to state funding of research was the sensible choice, and one that would benefit the creatures of the kingdom, even if the lack of new weapons was a considerable concern to her in the military. Of course, the Storm Queen didn't say anything, any of that out loud. She simply gave out a grunt and smiled back at her friend. That's good. Very good, even. Oh, fuck! My jaw! Ah, fuck! Oh, fuck! I yawned and it was... Oh, fucking wisdom teeth. Oh, it's been ages since I've had the little fuckers out of my mouth. Ah! There's still holes in my fucking jaw. It's literally just holes in my gum, and I have to flush them out with water every night so that shit doesn't build up in there and I don't get a fucking abscess when the gum finally heals. Ah! Fuck! Oh, Jesus, now I've got chest pain too. I'm 18! I am not supposed to be getting chest pain at 18! What the hell is wrong with me? Fuck! Alright, I just had to pour water in the holes in my mouth. And I'm not going to be able to read that. And his family's a little out of touch. The time should be coming soon when the Kingdom of Zarhe strikes us. They're currently at war with the Mozzie tribes. It seems inevitable that they will attack us. We need to be capable of defeating them in war. Or at the very least, we need a bigger army. Bronze Hill has fallen. Alright, let's think. Begin to equalise the races, or do I heal cooperation? Ooh. Surrender plus 5%. Ooh. No, I'm going to begin to equalise the races. You know what? I'm going to be the good guy. I have done so many horrible, horrible things in Hearts of Iron 4 over the years that I'm going to stop doing those. Well, I mean, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to do something nice, and then I'm probably going to do like a genocide later, whatever. Now, let me be clear. You are not trained engineers. And you're not gonna be paid like they are, but this is how you get a start in this industry. If you do a good enough job on the factory floor and you plan on staying once you've worked a year or two, we'll pay for you to go and get a proper degree. For now though, you'll be operating the machines. I'll be honest, it's not easy work. These things are as heavy as anything. That said, it'll build up some muscle and get you familiar with how we do things around here all the same. The Yeti shouted out over the noise of the various machines they were operating. The floor manager had been a pretty decent guy, all things considered. He was loud, but not too loud. Funny, but not frustrating. And most importantly, he knew what he was talking about, yet could still dumb the technical stuff down enough for the ensemble of new workers. The loose collection of Yetis and Zebras would be starting here in a few days, having previously been on the streets or just about to be thrown there. It didn't matter what they would be doing, as so long as they could get enough money together for some food and lodgings of some sort. A few of them had arranged to sleep somewhere quiet in the plant in order to try and get themselves back on their hooves, which was a generally uplifting notion for all involved. Shame they hadn't installed any showers yet, but they'd figure something out. Stopping roughly in the centre of the floor, the manager gestured around them with both hands. "Before we move on, have we got any questions?" A few moments of silence, in big air quotes, as you cannot see them because, you know, no camera on me. Those moments of silence that I just mentioned were interrupted by a thoroughly dishevelled zebra. "How dangerous are the machines?" "Not at all, so long as you do what we say and don't mess around near the Yetis. I mean the lions. Sorry, I'm a Yeti, the lions aren't me, right?" And the Yeti replied with a slightly unnerving smile. It was a good enough answer for the zebra, for fuck's sake. So for the zebra at least, and so the group continued on towards the staff facilities, occasionally taking a look at various monstrous machines as they went. They'll figure it all out in no time. Well, isn't that nice? Now, let's see. Speaking of that, now that we can get that factory that that we just talked about, that's brand new and just opened, I think they can get to work producing more artillery or of the kingdom, or future empire, what have you. 6 to 26, okay. So, it's not looking too bad. Assuming that they'll finish off the Mozzie tribes. Yep, there we go. Now we just need to redraw the front lines. Kingdom of Zarhe. Yeah, oh, come. Okay, they've got 260. Wait, no, we have 267,000. Yeah, so we have nearly 100,000 more soldiers than they do. This will be an absolute cake for those idiots in Zarhe. What happened to the cake? What's going on? Oh no. Oh no. Right. Right, so as we begin to equalise the races, we should theoretically, yeah, we'll be able to restore a civilian government, which is good. And, put stuff in Zebrica. Visual stuff there. We'll abolish slavery. You know, because we're moving towards modernity, and obviously, I will see you all in a wee bit when it is time to face off against our enemies. So, looking at it, it seems that the bastards have almost gotten big enough to put us on the run. So, we're going to need to put in everything we've got so that we don't end up getting our shit kicked in. I'm talking everything, so that we can defeat these guys when they do inevitably try and attack, because that is in their focus tree. So, 207,000 versus... Oh, no! No, 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 fuck. Fuck me with a fiddle. Fuck. Alright. Onwards and upwards. Let's go. We're moving from fear of fluorescence. There is a certain safety that can be found in silence. On a quiet night you can hear when even the smallest creatures rustle leaves and when your floorboards creak from a draught. At the base of the Clearpine mountain range, a well-guarded villa sat on one such night. The self-proclaimed chieftain of this land resided within, listening for anything in the darkness. Tensford had tried to have his family killed once already and failed, but Ibi's ice paw was something else altogether. She knew strategy, and she'd already turned some of the outposts into rubble with nothing to work off of. It was certainly the doing of a talented officer, and that was by no means comforting information. The flickering of torches was the first sign. By the time the gate guards realised that they were being obscured, it was far too late to react. The hulking figures of storm creatures appeared mere inches away from the suddenly alert guards, snapping bones, ripping ligaments, and tearing muscles in moments. They didn't even have the time or breath in their lungs to scream in agony. The following movement downstairs was not the assailants, but some of the chieftain's guards, cautiously moving to inspect yetis that hadn't reported... The following movement downstairs was not the assailants, but some of the chieftain's guards, cautiously moving to inspect yetis that hadn't reported in. Hoof steps were not unusual in and of themselves, yet the sudden cessation of movement certainly was. No gunshots, no grunts of pain, and no shouting of orders. Something felt deeply unnerving about the stillness of the air. By the time the local tyrant was out of bed and armed with a polearm behind the door, it was already far too late. A minute of utter silence followed. No movement, no words, and no sounds whatsoever. Only when the peace of the abode became absolute was an explosive detonated on the very wall that the chieftain was standing up against, killing him instantly and blowing out one of the villa's walls. By the time the rest of the guards had scrambled to inspect the sudden and violent redecoration, all they could find were bodies and the charred remains of the yeti that had been paying them to try and stand against these creatures. For them, it was time for a rapid career change. Ooh. Hopefully that wasn't one of ours that got blown up. Ibi's ice paw was seated in front of a microphone in a booth a few miles outside of the kingdom's capital. Or a few kilometres if you're me. Arranging her notes in such a way that would allow her to speak clearly into the device and read at the same time. She had memorised this speech, of course. It would have been foolish not to, given the significance of today's broadcast. Yet a backup plan was a good idea all the same. Satisfied, she offered a thumbs up to an operator behind the soundproof glass of the studio and received one back. An entire team of yetis went silent as they prepared to broadcast during the day's afternoon newsreel. Way the thing is spaced. The The Storm Queen returned her gaze back to her notes and the walls of the booth, trying not to focus on the fact that millions were about to hear her speaking live. She waited patiently for the light at her desk to turn green, ignoring the introduction to the news completely until silence fell and the glaring red glow became green. She took a slow breath and began to speak. "Creatures of the Storm Kingdom, I have for all... Can we do that again? I have for you all some truly excellent news. The road to peace and stability has been long and hard, yet even without rest from any, there have been Sorry, where was I? Oh yes. Has been long and hard even without rest for money. There have been innumerable challenges and immeasurable hurdles which have been surmounted already. Yet, to your dismay and to mine, we have achieved these things only under the watchful eyes of our ever-ready military. They are loyal, and I may be amongst their ranks, but a military government is not a government of the average creature." Sorry, I probably should have recorded this earlier. Done the speech earlier, sorry. After another moment to breathe, Ibis went on. "In the coming weeks, the military will be removing itself from all political positions in the government and its apparatus. Elections for all vacated public offices will be held. The time for executive action, at least through the armed forces, is now over. Thank you all for the trust that you have vested in me and my government. May the ancients smile upon you all, and good day." And with the press of a large button on the panel in front of her, the speech was over. The Storm Queen had been expecting the regular newsreaders to continue as they would normally, but they simply stayed quiet, as did those behind the glass. Only after a long pause could sound come from the adjacent newsroom be heard, and only then did the world seem to slowly come back to life. The shackles of the catastrophe have finally been broken. Despotism. Well, you know. The Directorate of Continental Affairs. While its main functions will be primarily civilian in nature, the overall purpose of the DCA lies somewhere between civilian and military. Its job shall be to handle foreign affairs, a task that encompasses strategic planning and realpolitik, as well as comparatively minor trade negotiations and state immigration policies. And also the gigantic fucking empire right next to us, which has an army that's nearly the size of our army. But who cares about that? Aside from me. Equestria loses horsepower. Oh yeah, the Equestrians are in a bit of a... oh, they're fucked. Or not. Oh! They've declared war on the Central Zebrican Empire. They're also led by Yetis, but one of the Yetis who pulled an Alexander but ended up surviving. Just like this one here, the Boltrus, I assume. There's no surprise concerning... Nice, oh fuck. Sorry, I just need to check I was doing the right voice. So, Urzak. Let me see, Urzak. Do we have Urzak? A guy named Urzak? No. No, hold on. Fuzz, Storm Shield, Urzak. Urzak. Okay, I'm gonna do a Scottish accent for Urzak. That sounds fun. Well, it shouldn't come as a surprise to you. It shouldn't come as a surprise considering the recent years of war that have been endured by the various Great Laker states. Not to be confused with the Great Lakes states, which is, you know, that's with, you know, that one. I need to say it, but the refugees are not the primary concern of the military at this moment. Instead, we are looking at the gradually growing militaries of the remaining governments in the region. By which I mean the big Zarhe with the zebras. That lad there. Unless a particularly peaceful regime emerges victorious, and perhaps even then, we must be prepared for large-scale conflict at the Great Lakes. Ozak explained slowly, his age showing in the slow movements of his hands. Ebi's ice-paw simply nodded as the officer returned to his seat. In the war room, already familiar with the threat posed by the zebras to the north. His part of this council was mostly played to remind the newer officers old enemies that remained a threat to the Storm Kingdom. After all, he knew them well. After a few seconds of note-taking by the greener members of the General Staff, Nor Black Ice rose from her heavy-duty seat with a nod from Her Majesty. She had been tasked with gathering and compiling additional information on the Ancient Pact, and was evidently ready to share it, with a little help from a slide projector, of course. The silence of the room was replaced with the rustling of military slacks and the clinking of modernised armour plates as the Storm Creature explained in as much detail as possible the military readiness of the Alliance. They were a formidable force with significant numbers of musterable soldiers and a positive standing amongst the fledgling international community, from whom they would likely receive support in the event of a war. The Storm Creature added that the publics and governments of both key members of the Alliance harboured significant mistrust towards the kingdom. As Nor returned the projector to the side and herself to a seat, most of the room was scrawling down notes, as the majority of this information was new to them all. Of particular concern was the prospect of international support for the Ancient Pact, as that could significantly strengthen an otherwise comparable foe. Once her subordinates were satisfied with their jottings, the Storm Queen stood at the head of the table with her own report on. Once her subordinates were satisfied with their jottings, the Storm Queen stood at the head of the table with her own report on Equestria and the reception of diplomatic overtures in Karkadanistan. In her mind, it was already considering... In her mind, she was already considering the many wars that would likely be necessary for her kind to secure a lasting peace, prompting a sigh before she continued the council. Needs must. Yeah. Notably, the horses and the gargoyles and the centaurs, that's nice and all. What about this? This one here. Guys, no focusing on that? Okay, fine, whatever, alright. Instate the minority advisory bodies. Oh! I think the Central Zebrican Empire is almost done, and we should be preparing... Hold on a second, we need to rush this so we can quickly run them out. What do I mean by run them out? I think that's just a phrase I've accidentally said randomly. Yeah. While the Kingdom of Zahe is distracted fighting our fellow Yetis, we can launch an invasion. It's only going to be 18 days until this focus is finished, and then 56 days until the focus where we declare war is finished. Oh, yes. Right, where were we? Yes, war. What's it good for? Taking over core territory and securing victory points and factories. That's what it's good for. Say it again. New Manhattan explosion. Say it again. New Manhattan. What the fuck am I doing? What? Oh, there goes that plan. They'll be able to reorganise in no time. Shit, that's as useful as a bloody... It's as useful as a custard... Something that shouldn't be made of custard. Oh, fuck me. Fuck me with a frying pan. And a dude. Right. War! That's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing war. Right, we're all good. Army intelligence, let's see. Oh my god! 40 divisions! I mean, we still have more than that, but still! That's not exactly helpful. Ugh. Okay, alright. Alright, have we moved every... Oh, no! Go! No! Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, shit, okay, alright. We should all be ready to secure, the thing. Oh, shit. We're all ready. We've got our divisions in place. We've got more divisions still. Urzak Deep Frost. I think you should probably you can stay there, you know, another... You know, the more the merrier when it comes to divisions on the front line. We've only got a month until the war begins. lands. Okay, a month. So let's see. We all. Oh no! Please tell me they've not integrated them as core state. No! They've integrated them as core state. War! Well, that was surprisingly easy. Fun. Yeah. That was really easy. I was expecting a lot more, but wow. Anyways, I guess there's no more massive enemy armies. Now we need to continue focusing on those other enemies that we have very clearly established are our major opponents. That being the Ancient Pact, everyone else in the world. Like ever. Holy shivers! The army's a little big there. And we're doing a lot of occupation stuff now. How are we going to integrate them? So, there should probably be some sort of option to integrate all these lands that we've just taken over. Oh! can get an ally! Improve relations. Talmasp owns his recent... oh shit. His recent unification and conquest, in large part to His Majesty's invasion, which weakened his two Hestraian rivals. While he and the Storm Queen and the... oh, for fuck's sake. Whilst he and the Storm Queen are yet to establish any significant diplomatic overtures, there is a good chance that he would be willing to cooperate us in a defensive or even offensive alliance. Ooh! No more need for a front line here, eh? So, who are we going to be relocating forwarding against? No, the Boltrians are in the desert as well. Egypt, then. Egypt. Oh, yeah, there's a load of railroads over there and everything. Oh, there's no connections. Oh, no! Oh, no, there's no connections. Right, this'll do. Easy peasy. Just hook these up via this one railroad, and it should be off to the races. There's no, like, disconnected railroad bits, right? No, it's not that disconnected. I'm a mighty, mighty man, I'm young and I'm in my prime. I'm a mighty, mighty man, I'm young and I'm in my prime. Buck Lucastan. Kermain. Fmaras. Hamaindan. Zanjan. Saminawat. Arda Bucklan. Hisanlub. Simet. Jizz. Trotran. Owobad. Where's the little face? Yeah, you can see right there. What? Yeah, you see? Oh shit, that jump scared me. Formal defense policy. Yeah, that'll be good. Let's see, what else are we going to be doing? Attempt diplomacy. Ah! The cornerstone. Oh! He nicked the cornerstone, didn't he? That's not good. So that we'd be able to get access to all our old stuff there. Well, we could fight the Romans at some point. We might need to fight them. Let's see. Oh! Right. Sorry if I've not been as talkative as I was last episode. I just don't really have as much to comment on. Well, there's something to comment on. We must massively develop Gora. Gora. Gora, quite contrary. Where will your diamond take us? That fucking sucked, I'm sorry. Buffer territory is absolutely necessary, then we should do our best to create it effectively. Territory is absolutely necessary, then we should do our best to create it reactively rather than proactively. Imamu managed, having foolishly tried to talk whilst chomping down on a sautéed herb square. The Storm Queen considered this as she stirred a spicy dumpling and broth soup of her own making. God, stop trying to make me hungry again. Just had dinner. Mac and cheese. As if you care. Smiling absent-mindedly as they enjoyed the food she just spent an hour making. I knew it! There. Ibizandimamu sitting in a tree. The tree is gonna break because Ibi's too big. Taking a sip of the soup and then a mouthful, Ibis nodded at her work and cleared her throat. On this we agree. Unfortunately... Oh, fuck, what was the voice I did earlier? I'm going to check that later. Unfortunately, there are some states that we should not be passive about. The Great Lakes and its leading government are especially a severe threat. Well, not really anymore. Yeah, obviously the more... Yeah, that aged really well, didn't it? Attacking a unified Yeti nation state island. Yeah, well, I mean, it has. Well, actually, no, we attack. Oh, first strike doctrine, I like. Right, now we're going to be... We're going to reach out to the Shahanshah so that we can form a good alliance. If you don't succeed... I don't care. I don't care that you're ill. I don't care. What's more important is that we are able to get another... We are able to move closer to full control over Zebrica. I intend on taking back everything that we had earlier. Up to and including... Zonica. Ooh. Blue. Blue. Oh! 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 Oh, no! Ooh. Well, it's not like we were going to be using those states anyways. It's going to be... Hold on a second. Let me just try and run the numbers. So we get... Base fit for service minus 98% because we're not... Yeah, okay, no. So we're still gaining a little bit of pony power to use. Or zebra power in this case. So that we can, keep the army well fed. That sort of implies that I'm feeding ponies to the... I mean, would you really put it past that to, have a bit of a munch on a zebra? Really? In heart of hearts, really? Really? Don't think so. Didn't think so. The Australian candidate. Not much in the way of options, do we? Imamu asked, politely sipping at his bitter cup of tea as he and the Storm Queen perused a table of maps and files. Her Majesty was currently flicking through the docket on the current Centaurian ruler with a stony expression. Most would assume that was simply her resting face, but the zebra recognised her particular scowl of slight frustration as she nodded and placed the folder carefully back atop the eastern portion of the map. We do not, she quickly agreed, stepping behind her friend and moving to another map of the west. But there are some. Kardanistan is promising. The zebra turned his snout up almost immediately. I'm not so sure about that. The Shahanshah is a warmonger and a despot, not the sort of equine you want to get into bed with. The optics are poor, Ibis concurred, humming either at the situation or at the choice of phrasing. The potential economic and military... the potential economic and military benefits are still significant. An alliance of any sort may also balance against the choice of ally, given the current international perception of my kind. Imamu cocked his head a little, but still seemed to disapprove the idea. He took a look at the map above, of Arabia, Rizaya, and the assortment of nations of northwestern Zebrica. None were particularly sympathetic, not even the Harmonists. In the short term, an alliance with the Shahanshah was detrimental to the kingdom's slowly growing national prestige, but the Storm Queen made a good point with respect to the long-term benefits of a potentially long-standing pact in that department. Do you believe that Tarmasp is trustworthy? Imamu asked finally, looking away from that. It doesn't matter, Ibis returned, gesturing across the map of maps and documents. He is in the same position that we are, making a highly martial society while surrounded by... managing a highly martial society while surrounded by few friends and many enemies is no easy task. I believe pragmatics would force his commitment if he chose to accept a military and economic arrangement, regardless of trust or personal opinion. Imamu rolled his eyes subtly and chuckled, a flattering exploration of his moral character. Seriousness in his demeanour then returned. But you make a good point. Presented correctly, an offer like this is difficult to turn down, and even harder to back out of. Ibby's icepaw simply nodded as one of her hands drifted to the landline phone on the other side of what had once been a usable dining table. Communique would be drafted post-haste. Ha-ha! We get a little bit of friendship. The Storm Queen leaned up against the countertop with the letter sitting in front of her, opened and read over twice. Shah Tamasp had graciously accepted her offer, and although they were not inclined to pursue a full military alliance just yet, keyword yet, the language used indicated that they might be open to such a relationship in the future. It seemed as though she had correctly assessed the internal situation in the guarded domains of Equestria, the knowledge of which was surprisingly satisfying. It also meant Imamu owed her a home-cooked dinner, which she was now anticipating almost as much for whatever reason. We get it! You are in love! As I already described earlier with my humorous rhyme. We get it! Get a room, you two, honestly. I'm trying to take over the world here. Secure the... take over the world. Ibis took 2 steps back from the counter and looked around her chambers, with a smile, excited for the start of something truly unheard of for Yeti kind. Soon enough, the advisory councils, the military and the public would need to be informed about this monumental occasion, as would Imamu. All would need to be addressed, given the nature of the overtures and the fact that Shahanshah Tamasp had publicly delivered gifts in addition to their notice of acceptance directly to the capital, where at least the former could be seen by all. Eventually, Her Majesty regained her concentration, adjusted the collar of her military-styled suit, and began walking towards their study. There were speeches and notices that needed writing. Ooh! That's nice, isn't it? We're on good terms. You'll make a great ally. Diplomacy. Sideline the Uzarazi or secure the northern buffer regions. So now that it's pretty obvious what's going on, oh my good. Oh, hold on. More reading. It was a chilly but surprisingly sunny morning as Shahanshah Tamasp and the Storm Queen at their end of a lovingly carved stone pedestal, doing their best to look presentable for the multitude of Yeti reporters and a large number of other esteemed creatures from both states. The mountainous citadel at the centre of Icepaw Hold, at the very tail end of the Zwahil, made for a fine location to host the ratification of the Defensive Pact and trade agreements. Aside from the central position of the fortification between the capitals of the 2 great states, the view over the bay and the weather too was effortlessly pleasant and relaxing, a perfect location for a small dinner party in the aftermath. Cool wind blew through the halls and over the battlements as Her Majesty calmly scanned the attendees and adjusted her uniform. This was of course a pre-arranged ceremony that had been approved by the administration of the guarded domains of Equestria, as well as that of the Storm Kingdom, but the energy in the air was nothing short of electric. Ibby's Icepaw, in particular, was, for once, clearly very excited by the event and wore a smile with enough teeth that anyone less significant than the Shahanshah Tamasp or less familiar than Imamu would have found intimidating. Once the keep was full and all important guests had arrived, including the aforementioned zebra, the event could begin in earnest with a speech from the Storm Queen. Assembled creatures, this day is truly a remarkable one in the history of my kind. We are not known for our ability to cooperate in times of strife, and the lack of foreign allies in our history is demonstrative of that. Some murmurs in agreement filled the room as she paused to breathe. We are still a long way away from being trustworthy in the eyes of the world, but that is what makes this pact truly special. In dangerous times like these, where those who value things besides stability and prosperity seek to tear down all that has been built, friends are more valuable than ever. The guarded domain of Equestria and its wise leadership have elected to bestow upon us trust and defensive responsibilities that so few nations would dare to risk. Today, I and the rest of my kind find in Shahanshah Tamasp a rare friend. Taking a few steps back from the podium, Ibiz politely bowed her head and motioned for the quick new defensive ally of the Storm Kingdom to speak. She took a quick breath and retreated back to her seat, forgetting to hide her excitedly swinging tail. Oh, isn't that nice? We're friends. Yeah, Fu Manchu mustache and your fetlocks blowing and your staring at me.